So much of our success in watercolor comes down to watercolor timing and water to paint ratio. Today, I have a fantastic practice to help you hone these very important skills. You can use this practice with any subject matter, whether you are a beginner, an intermediate, or more experienced painter. I'm confident that this practice can really help you as a watercolor painter. When we are painting, it takes a lot of mental effort, especially in watercolor, because watercolor is so dependent on timing, on how wet your paper is the moment that you touch your brush to the paper, and also how much paint and water is loaded into your brush. These are things that can be kind of elusive to study and to learn. As I've practiced this more and more through my years of painting, I've found one particular practice very helpful in honing these crucial skills. And that's what we're going to work on today. This is a watercolor timing study. Let me show you what it looks like. You may remember a few weeks back, I talked about this mountain painting and how important timing was to create soft edges for the mountains in the distance. Well, how I was able to work out my approach to that painting was by doing a timing study. In this practice, we're going to take color mixing and set that aside. This is a simple way to approach your scenes using only one color. So I've laid in my drawing and I've dampened the front and the back of the paper. If you don't want to dampen the back, you can tape your paper down, but dampen the front because the timing of this is what we want to practice. The first thing that I want to do is lay in the light values of the scene, and that includes the sky, the light colors of the mountain, the light colors on the road, anywhere around the scene that is lighter in value. And I'm starting at the top of the painting, laying down parts of the underside of the cloud. That's one of the things I wanted to work through in this practice session, is how the clouds overlap the mountains and what connection I wanted to have there. Also, you'll see here, I'm taking a paper towel and I am pushing down on this house. This house is going to be in light and I want to leave it the white of the paper, but I've dampened the paper. So I want to get that hard edge back. So I dry the paper in that area, right? And I'm working down the paper. Everything is nice and damp other than that part of the house. So you'll see I'm getting nice soft edges. And when you look at the reference photo black and white, you can see the difference in value between the blue of the sky and the light color of the cloud. And I'm painting the value of the sky around the clouds. And this is one of those things that's so good to practice in this study, is dampening the paper, getting these soft edges, and then knowing when you can come back in and paint around those clouds. All right, now after that is in place, I'm coming down and laying in the light value for the road and the rest of the things in the bottom part of the painting. Okay, so the paper is damp. I'm reloading my brush with more in middle value, and you can see that I'm mixing in more paint into my mixture. Now I'm going to go back in while this is damp and paint the mountains and letting this kind of merge. You can see how much stronger this value is than the light value behind it, coming down to where the buildings are. And this is so much easier to do when you're not thinking about mixing color. I'm just thinking about value and timing. There are some cloud shadows on the mountain. I wanted to drop those in while this is damp. And I dropped those in there, moving down into the details and connecting the cars into the shadow shape and getting a little stronger around some of those trees. There's so many decisions we make throughout the painting process, and by using a study like this, it can help you get a handle on those decisions before making those final decisions in a full color painting. So adding a little bit more value into those trees. At this point, I've laid in the lights, and then while the paper was still damp, I went in and laid the middle values and let them merge with the background and get these lovely soft edges. And this is really, these beautiful effects in watercolor are why we practice these things, so we can work some of this magic that happens on the paper into our paintings. So at this point, a lot of the scene is done. Now I just need to go in and add a few details and just add some polish to what I've already painted. And the ending part of this is adding in the details. So here in the study, I decided to include this tree in the top left to let it kind of lean in and be casting this shadow here. And that was a question I had about the scene that I knew I wanted to work out in this study. Now I'm into some of the details. You can see I'm using a smaller brush with a point now, adding in the details around the house, the building here, adding in the windows and the darks on the cars, trying to add in the right amount of details to bring that area forward, bring it closer to us, to focus the painting. And it always amazes me once you get some of the darks into the painting, how everything just kind of snaps together. All of a sudden this feels closer. We have a focal area. The mountains that we were spending so much time on are now resting further off in the background, which we wanted. And the scene really comes together when we get to that part of the process. And here I'm using a little bit of gouache to get back some little highlights in the scene. And again, this is another great thing you can practice. You can see what works with gouache, kind of work out all these little questions before we start the actual painting. This is a look at the final painting. And what I love about these practices is once you get into them, it's really creating another type of art. There's a lot of fun and creativity and excitement that can go into creating one of these studies. It's a way to take away some of the stress of mixing and really hone these very important skills of timing and water to paint ratio in a fun way. So I hope that this was helpful for you. Try this out in your next painting. Do a study and answer some questions that you have about the scene. Your paintings will be better for it. If you'd like to learn more about my approach to painting, take a look at this. Have you ever been really excited about a painting and you get all set up, you find that right reference that you're excited about, and then it's time to go and you feel lost? I have a free resource that I want to give to you today that can help with these problems. My 5 steps to plan a successful watercolor painting. I walk you through the crucial planning phase of your painting that will help you understand what you're going to paint first, second, and third. The planning is really so important, especially in watercolor. This medium is harder to correct. It's so immediate. So having that plan is very important. I send you a PDF that you can download. And the great thing about this is you can have it on your phone. You could print it out. You can download this right now before you start your next painting. All you have to do is follow this link here and download my 5-step guide to planning a successful watercolor painting.